I just can't get it out of my head. Pence, your fly is all I think about. I just can't get it out of my head. Mike, it's more than I care to think about.
Mike Pence pestered by pesky pest of pestilence. Mike Pence pestered by pesky pest of pestilence.
You need to get it off. You need to shake it off. Somebody scream it off. Get it off, get it off, get it. Oh, it's off. Welcome to That Penner Show. I'm Robert Penner, a piano guy in Brooklyn. Folks, I know the COVID is old news, but let's not forget who's totally handling it. The man, the legend, Mike Pence. When it comes to Team America Corona Police, Pence pulls all the strings. And I want to give him the credit he deserves. So let's look back at Mike's moment in the limelight. The vice presidential debate where, unfortunately, Pence was plagued by a negative buzz. I'm talking about the moderator with her cloud of COVID queries.
The coronavirus is not under control.
Super spreading facts and figures.
39 states have had more COVID cases over the past 7 days than in the week before. 9 states have set new records.
In some kind of nitpicking numbers game.
Vice President Pence, more than 210,000 Americans have died of COVID-19.
Is that a lot, though? So many Americans haven't died. Everything's relative.
The U.S. death toll as a percentage of our population,
Fine, the death toll percentage,
is higher than that of almost every other wealthy nation on Earth. For instance, our death rate is 2.5 times that of Canada.
Canada? I thought we were talking about wealthy countries. USA, #1 in G7 COVID deaths per capita.
This eagle's place is in the sky. She's still got a lot of climbing to do. Let the eagle soar.
Never gets old.
This country's far too young to die.
That's enough. Speaking of dying,
Vice President Pence, you head the administration's coronavirus task force. Why is the U.S. death toll as a percentage of our population higher than that of almost every other wealthy country?
well, that's not a fair comparison. Those wealthy countries and Canada have universal health care. That's cheating. Setting that aside, Mike Pence talked about COVID for 9 minutes without explaining why his strategy is dead last. Or literally dead first, you know what I mean. What can he even say though? COVID is like Mike Pence's 9/11. He didn't start it, but he made America join the worst responders. Slow down the coffins, please. Now, if you're thinking, Penner, you're being ridiculous. Well, I researched it, and one of these self-made millionaires, I won't say who, but one of these plucky bootstrappers literally trademarked Ivanka Trump coffins in China. Google it. There was a point in the debate where it sounded like Pence might own up to his mistakes.
You know, the reality is when you talk about about failure in this administration. We actually do know what failure looks like in a pandemic.
Hold on, in which administration?
Failure in this administration.
Oh, okay. Paint me a picture.
We actually do know what failure looks like in a pandemic. It was 2009. The swine flu arrived in the United States.
Oh, the Great Plague of 2009. I must have blocked it out.
60 million Americans contracted the swine flu.
60 million is a lot, actually.
If the swine flu had been as lethal as the coronavirus, in 2009, when Joe Biden was vice president, we would have lost 2 million American lives.
We would have lost 2 million lives. That is horrific. How could you, Joe? Let me just crunch these numbers in my Mike Pence math worksheet. This will only take a second. So if the 2009 plague is swine flu with 60 million cases, that means in Mike Pence's fantasy,
if the swine flu had been as lethal as the coronavirus, in 2009, when Joe Biden was vice president, we would have lost 2 million American lives.
2 million Americans would have died. How could you, Joe? Oh, I missed a column. Deaths in reality. Okay, so what if in 2009 swine flu was not COVID? What if swine flu was swine flu? Turns out the deaths in reality were 12,500. So if swine flu were 160 times more deadly, it would have been really bad. Just imagine all the people. In reality, swine flu was less deadly than regular flu. Boring. We need to go deeper. Let's look at diarrhea. Numbers-wise, in 2009, Americans had diarrhea 180 million times. I'm talking as a group, not per person. I'm not here to name names of ex-roommates. If we do the Mike Pence math, look what happened, but not really.
When Joe Biden was vice president of the United States, if
Diarrhea
had been as lethal as the coronavirus, in 2009, we would have lost
6 million
American lives.
Just imagine all those imaginary lives down the drain. How could you, Joe?
Joe Biden. Soft on crime. Soft on diarrhea.
But wait, there's more. Each year, Americans have 1 billion cases of the cold. It is, how do you say, common? And if colds were COVID, well, I don't have to tell you, the death toll would be Texas. Look, here's the deal. Joe Biden has real failures to choose from. You don't have to invent them in some parallel universe. But Joe doesn't run the COVID task force, Michael Richard Pence. You do. So take responsibility. Explain how you led the world's richest country into this mess. Slow down the coffins, please. Or do your song and dance about 2009. Because swine flu is the monster that haunts our dreams. What if colds were COVID? Just imagine. And my cat, a giant squid. It could happen. What if Mike Pence weren't full of shifty mathematical sleight of hand? Thought you could fool me, didn't you? Dream on, dream on, dream on, dream. Dream on, dream on, dream on.